Today on Locked On Rockies, all I want for Christmas is competitive, fun, good Rockies baseball in 2025.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 25th day of December, also known as Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone out there. A Christmas Day episode of Locked On Rockies dropping for you here as we're talking Rockies baseball here on the holidays and weekdays here on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel and your favorite streaming services. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in on the holiday. And if we're helping pass the time a little bit during the holidays, when if that's the best way to phrase it, then you know what? Happy to do so. Happy to bring you about 30 minutes of Rockies talk here on this big time exciting day here. And we're going to keep it simple today. And uplifting, of course, and just basically I got two main things I want to talk about and kind of change the tone a little bit. Yesterday, I know we were talking about frustration and where we're at as Rockies fans and how we're feeling there. But I do want to talk today about good things, good vibes, put some good stuff out there in the world. We're going to talk about that and more on today's episode. Before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we're going to get started with this, folks. I wanted to just take this moment to say thanks to all of you, actually. This has been by far the biggest year of the show. And I talk about this. I know you get hit with this all the time. I know it's the thing with it's what every content creator does. And unfortunately, it's something we have to do because it is true. The algorithms, subscribing and asking you and doing that stuff, doing it over and over again, doing it at the beginning, doing that type of stuff. We have to do it because I knew that hitting 1,000 YouTube subscribers was something that we could do, but it took a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. We here on Locked On Rockies don't have the same benefit as a lot of these other shows where it's really exciting, engaging teams that are making the playoffs, doing interesting things in these big markets. But what I have learned is there is a lot of passionate Rockies fans that care about having a spot where the Rockies are the focus. This show's focus is the Colorado Rockies. We love the Colorado Rockies. As frustrating as they may be, and everything under the sun that drives you nuts about the Colorado Rockies. What I've learned, especially this year, is that people care about this team. People care that there are places that talk and focus on the Rockies. Rockies fans are very real and very passionate. So to help us hit that 1,000 subscriber goal, it's a major milestone for me as a person that does content stuff. It's one of the first like big milestones that people hit. And I've been doing content stuff for a long time. I've never been really good at promoting my stuff or like really tapping into the algorithms. I'm not big social media driven guy. I have kind of based myself on when I turn on the mic, when I record, I want to make an entertaining show for folks to tune into and get my takes and my thoughts on the Rockies. And you all have not only just tuned in, but you're in the comment section. You're watching more often and more frequently and for longer. You're coming back. You're tuning in. You all are showing me that what I'm doing is working, is entertaining for you, is giving you information that you like. You are enjoying the show. And I know it's far from perfect. I mean, we're still a small operation with not as many bells and whistles as a lot of podcasts and big sets and all sorts of that stuff. But it's been really, really cool to see as someone who's been doing this for a while. I mean, again, this is now three seasons, over 3 seasons, been talking a lot of Rocks for a while. And while it's maybe we're a community that's growing a little slower than some of these other ones, it's a group of folks that are tuning in that love Rockies baseball and bring the energy, bring the thoughts, bring the mindset. You know, the show is only doing this well because you all are tuning in and enjoying it. So I know it's a little weird to start this way, but I just wanted to at least take a moment here on Christmas here to just let you know how thankful I am. It was a big year. I mean, again, the Rockies themselves have been on a fast track to nowhere for a long time, and we have been going through this slog. I mean, from the start of this show was right after we lost Nolan Arenado, was the end of the Trevor story ever. I shouldn't say the start of the show. My hosting of the show. We have had to go through and navigate a lot of murky waters with the Colorado Rockies since I've taken over the show, and it's been tough. I mean, and because it ain't easy all the time trying to really pump yourself up about a team that is as frustrating as the Rockies are. But throughout my time hosting, I've been reminded time and time again how awesome this audience is, how awesome the everydayers are, how awesome the Locked On Rockies audience is, and how much support they show. And when I look at stuff, and when I look at other people that do Rockies coverage, I look and I see how important it is that people talk and focus and look into and follow the Colorado Rockies. People want to know about the Rockies. People want to get the inside scoop. And in our case, I guess here on Locked On Rockies, I'm not the voice of every fan, but a voice of a longtime fan. I give more of that type of voice and more of a style. I don't have the same access as the reporters, the journalists, the people that that is their bread and butter, who make great stuff. You're not going to hear me really, It is so important that that the media coverage that exists of the Rockies exists. And it's important that it should continue to be supported and believed in. Whether you love this show, whether you love the Rockies Insider, DNVR, just whatever they're doing at MLB.com and the Denver Post, everywhere. If you have a Rockies creator, a person, a reporter, a beat reporter, or if you just love the normal broadcast, keep showing your support. It matters. And again, I know we talked yesterday about it being frustrating, but again, it's not on you, the fan, to fix the Rockies. If you want to go to and enjoy Rockies baseball, watch Rockies baseball, follow Rockies baseball, it's okay. That's a good thing. It should be encouraged. There are fans of bad teams and frustratingly run teams, and you're. It's a good thing to be a Rockies fan. If you love the Rockies, if they mean something to you, it's okay. You don't have, but if you want to boycott, if that's how you want to send your message, that's okay too. I'm just saying. It's been really cool to see how important the Rockies are to people this year, even amidst all of terrible baseball. Again. Is it we're not the Dodgers. You could just even list off the things in the NL West, and the home games are outmatched, especially when certain teams come to town. But there are a lot of real deal Rockies fans out there that really care about this team, really care about success, really care about the sense of community it brings. And it should serve as a reminder to the organization that there is a very, very, very passionate fan base here, ready to go full steam ahead behind this team. I guess a terrible phrasing there. I don't really know. That didn't even really make much sense. Regardless, they're ready. We've seen how ravenous the support can be when the Rockies are successful. the best gift Rockies fans could get this year is a season of competitive baseball. And let's talk about that coming up in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you were that you were paying for twice? You never know what you sign up for things, the trials, especially if you have multiple emails, you got multiple things you got to track down. You never know what you might be paying for. Rocket Money makes it so easy to track down all those subscriptions. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. New year coming up. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Set the new year off right and take control of your subscriptions with Rocket Money. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network here on this Christmas Day edition of Locked On Rockies. So let's stick in the theme here of course, the best gift for a Rockies fan this year is just a season of good competitive baseball. And your definition is going to change with that, because again, is it a team that's probably when you look at wins and losses, it's probably going to be tough. Who knows? The big unknown that I keep bringing up is that healthy pitching staff. Hopefully, that's the big X factor. But above all, I just want to see a Rockies team that clearly makes a jump, clearly takes a step forward. Last year's team, there were so many opportunities for the Rockies to show that they were turning the corner, show that they were, that the improvements were being made. But we've talked about the horrible history that the Rockies created and now that team becomes infamous for. If that's avoided by close, good, competitive games, hard-fought series, games that I just want to walk away from a Rockies game like I did multiple times, where it's just like, hey, you know what? That was a baseball win. It's a 3-2 loss. There were some opportunities, but there was no glaring issue. There was no big error. There was no walking a bunch of people to start an inning. There was no 12 strikeout game for the 5th time in a row. I just want to be able to go through next season just feeling like the Rockies are more on the same level. And again, it's going to be easy for people to come in and be like, they're not going to be on the same level. You wins, losses, Dodgers. I understand that. But it's a lot better when you can watch a 9-inning ball game and say that the Rockies were competitive in it and fought the whole way through, and we're competing, than some of the games and performances we've seen over the last 2 seasons. Some of the games that get out of hand early. Look at opening day last year. How did the Rockies season for 2024 even start? I mean, that was the tone for the season. I want the Rockies to set the tone early and start raising the eyebrows. Be the team that when the middle of the season rolls around, when the analysts are looking into things and when they're diving into the numbers and they're following the team and they're doing this and that, be the team that's like, all right, the Rockies got something cooking here. Nolan Jones is building back up. The Rockies outfield's got some good defense in it. They're making some big plays. mixed in with this, hey, maybe Estrada actually does, really pop off in some ways and as a benefit. Michael Tolia could fit into how does, if he shows the growth, I guess maybe that's it. Maybe that's is the better gift, just seeing growth from the Rockies. I don't want to get greedy, but like, how good of a trajectory, how good of a path, where are the Rockies at if Tovar and Doyle are on an all-star pace and have a shot at being the first time the Rockies have multiple all-star representatives in a few seasons? But it's also mixed in with those other players. It's how if those guys are doing well, what are those other guys doing? But if you want to talk yourself into building up your hope for next season, it's not that hard, as long as you're setting your expectations in a real life realm. I did this kind of last year, so it's in a similar vein, but I do think this team has a ceiling of around 70 games. And that shouldn't be that crazy, because if German Marquez is is the German that we've seen in the past, he is going to be better than 80% of the pitchers, if not all of the pitchers that were filling in for him while they were gone. Remember, this is a Rockies team that was starting Jose Urena. This was a Rockies team that has turned to a long list of young guys that haven't been able to stay healthy. German Marquez has been a pitcher just like Kyle Freeland that has shown, if successful, if having a good season, which again, I have to put the if there because that disclaimer does matter. But if German Marquez pitches at the abilities that we know German can, that is a huge win for the Colorado Rockies. Remember, German Marquez is a career 17.5 career WAR player. When healthy, and in the meantime, German Marquez has had a WAR of high as 4.1, 3.5, 2.8, 2.4 in his all-star season. German Marquez strikes people out. That's a game changer for the Colorado Rockies. Let's even look at Antonio Senzatella here as well for the Rockies. It's not as much of an impact as German Marquez, but a career 6.2 WAR. Jose Urena has a career WAR of 1.7. Cal Quantrill, last year, the big name, the big sign, he's got a career WAR of 8.2. His WAR last year, falling off completely, was 1.6. Antonio Senzatella averages, when he's healthy, at least over 1.6. He had a tough year in 19. I shouldn't say that, actually. Senza's probably closer onto that Cal Quantrill level anyway. So maybe not the most fair comparison. I guess I should more focus on German Marquez there. But anyway, my point is, there is upside to this team. There is reason to believe in this team. It just has to be shown, right? It has to be demonstrated on the field. And it's been a long time since we can confidently say that this team is putting, this really is going to be one of the more interesting mashups here in this Rockies thing. We have a completely revamped offense and Rockies, position players, combining with the vast majority of a pitching staff that has been around and has been successful in Bud Black and finally mix it. We've never really seen what happens when these players, these young guys, have this type of pitching staff. And we don't know, this pitching staff is also going with an offense that has considerably less firepower in it than when the playoffs and when they were healthy. So it's going to be an interesting way of how do these two pieces come together for the Colorado Rockies. But I do think that it should come together in a way that leads to more competitive games, a more competitive feeling, not that feeling where it sits there and I've done, and you can go in and look in the videos. There have been episodes I've done where you just have to do it and just basically own up to the fact that it feels like the Rockies are completely outmatched, and they still will be. in certain matchups. But in other games and in other situations and in other scenarios, I think this team is setting up to be one that is going to lead to more intrigue than frustration as it did last year. And I'm not gonna. It's a weird spot to be in. And let's dive into that coming up in segment number 3. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up the W. You can check out the live in-game betting. You can go for a parlay and kind of build some things together. Maybe you're interested in diving into some futures. You can see it all for yourself on FanDuel. They also will have you covered, of course, through the playoffs. Which player will score a touchdown? How many points are they going to score? The over-unders, lots more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Locked On Rockies podcast here, closing things up today on this Christmas Day edition of Locked On Rockies. Again, thanking you for making us your first listen of the day. Thanking you for tuning in all off-season, all season, all the time, and helping us reach our goal of 1,000 YouTube subscribers this year. You all really, really rock. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much again. But basically, I was to wrap up the show. If you're getting a Rockies fix on this Christmas Day, buying into and having a little hope in this team is okay. And there's reason to have it. Things went horribly off the rails last year. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen again this year. That doesn't mean that things can't be different this year. That doesn't mean that the entire season can look completely different and last year can honestly even start to be finally put in the rear view in the last 2 seasons. There's still so many possibilities with this team. What if Chris Bryant flourishes as a DH and stays healthy? What if Ryan McMahon puts together a full season and cuts down the strikeouts? What if this new pitching staff helps lead the way and gives the Rockies stability in a rotation that they haven't had in a long, long time? What if the Rockies do develop these players? What if the Rockies coaching staff is able to work with these guys and continue to use their relationship and the time that they've spent together to unlock the next step? Yes, these are a lot of crazy what ifs. I understand that. But again, if these things happen, the intrigue will start bubbling about the Colorado Rockies. They have done it a couple of times. They have never been the most efficient at it. And the future and everything is still murky and unclear. But if the things that could go well do go well, the Rockies are going to be an interesting team in 2025. There will be a reason to buy into the Rockies in 2025. There will be a reason to believe in the Colorado Rockies in 2025. A lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to go well. But it is certainly there. And again, you have to take in the context of where the Rockies are at and how the Rockies go into this year, as opposed to if you're just focusing on the last 2. Mixed with, hey, the schedule isn't going to be super easy, but you're also in a situation this year where you're going to get a good dose of the NL West early. If you want to make some noise and kind of, rattle some cages there, you got San Diego, you got the Padres, the Dodgers in the first month of the season. And then you got San Francisco and Arizona in May and San Diego. when you look at this, you're gonna get concerned, obviously. But again, if you want to show us something, if you want to prove something, the beginning of the season is how you're going to set the tone, because this is going to be the chance where teams aren't fully warm, teams aren't fully ready to go. If the Rockies come into 2025 and ready to handle business and play a complete 162, a solid season across the finish, and your definition of solid might be different than my definition of solid, that's fine. They will be the intrigue will be there. There are players and guys on this team that will be easy to buy into, and people will be able to really start resonating with the team that I think will have some personality and some fun, and will open the door for the Rockies to be a team in a position to make a big splash and add an impact. 2025 can set the stage for a lot of positive things for the Rockies. And I know it's a tall order for that to happen. But you never know. And we might as well hope for a Christmas miracle in December. Folks, we're going to wrap it up here a little short today for the holiday, but thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Rockies all season, all off season, all year long. Again, really do appreciate it. For your second listen of the day, Locked On MLB's got you covered there with your pal Sully. I believe he's doing something really cool today. I think he's taking you to a baseball game. That's the idea of the podcast today. So you can check that out there. And, of course, if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services as well. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.